Tonight on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, we have Rookie Mock Draft 2.0. We'll tell you who you need to draft. It's time for Garbage Time. Woo! Welcome into Garbage Time Fantasy Football. I am your host, Ron the Fantasy Spectre Seymour, joined today by Joseph McCann. How you doing today, Joe?
I'm doing great tonight, Ron. You know who's not with us tonight? That would be Ryan Warner. I swear he's becoming your twin.
That's right. See how he actually gets a picture. Mine is just a fancy little ghost meme. You actually see his picture. Sorry, I'm messing with my mic at the moment.
While he's adjusting himself over there, guys, if you like what you hear on Garbage Time Fantasy Football, make sure to like and subscribe to the show here on YouTube. We are also live on Twitch and Twitter. You can also listen to us in audio formats on Apple, Spotify, Google, Pandora, Amazon, Iheartradio, Tunein, and leave us voicemails at www.garbagetimeff.com. Leave us messages at Garbage Time Fantasy Football on Instagram, and we are on Twitter, Garbage Time Fantasy Football.
Did you update the website yet?
Nope, still working on that.
Right.
Just not happening yet. We'll get there.
No, I was just wondering. I wasn't pressuring you.
Yeah, no. With that will be the adjustment of a bunch of clips on here too. So that'll be a few-hour project, and I don't have the time with that. And with that note, let's get into the news.
News updates.
First little bit of news I have for us tonight is there is discussions of extensions happening for a few quarterbacks as the owners' meetings were going on. The first one that was kind of interesting this week was Justin Herbert's extension talks, which have now begun. He's playing into now his fourth year, playing 3 years now. I wanted to get your thoughts on Justin Herbert's potential extension and what that would mean for dynasty owners going forward, Ron.
Who are we talking about?
Justin Herbert.
Oh, he's going to be a solid dynasty quarterback going forward. He'll get his contract. They're not going to let him go. This won't be a Lamar Jackson situation. He's going to get paid. He's going to be a top 10 dynasty guy for probably another 10 years.
Now, do you think that's going to promote people drafting more of the Chargers wide receivers going forward? Do you think that people are going to look to get some of their younger guys? What's the outlook of those wide receivers if Justin Herbert actually gets an extension?
If he gets an extension, when they bring in young guys with actual decent draft capital, first round, second round, their stock will rise instantly just because he's a good passer. And now they have Kellen Moore as their offensive coordinator, which is, he likes to put up points. So
who's going to end up getting that extension first? Is it going to be Justin Herbert's, Jalen Hurts, or Joe Burrow?
I think Justin Hurts is due for it first, isn't he?
Considering the draft capital, I would think they would want to get something done.
Justin Herbert, I mean. I'm trying to remember where they were all drafted. Jalen Hurts was a second rounder, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
So he might end up coming up at the same time as one of those guys. I can't remember.
They're all in the same time frame. That's why I was kind of curious.
They were all the same draft class?
All in the same time period. I don't believe they were all in the same I believe Hurts may have been drafted 1 year before them. I'll look that up.
No, I thought Herbert was drafted the same year as Josh Allen. No, that can't be right because he would already been due.
Hurts was 2020. And Justin Herbert was drafted also 2020. So, yes, they're all in the same time frame.
Right, but Justin Herbert has the fifth-year option.
Correct.
And Jalen Hurts won't. So he would have to be – well, you wouldn't have to be first, but his would have to be done first.
Out of these three, who's got the best fantasy potential long term?
I think it's Joe Burrow. He's very, very clearly the best out of the group. Jalen Hurts obviously has more electric with his legs, but those guys break down faster.
Agreed.
So I think Joe Burrow has probably 12 to 15 years. Jalen Hurts probably has 8 to 10.
Ezekiel Elliott said that 3 teams were interested in him. That was the Bengals, the Eagles, and the Jets.
No.
Except you didn't let me finish the punchline. I love it. You just jumped down my throat. That was his wish list, not the team's wish list. So
because of the way you said it. He said that 3 teams were interested in him.
Yep, and you didn't let me go with the punchline. Thanks, dude.
It's not a punchline. That's a false statement.
It's a false
You're
red
feeding
herring.
False news.
That was a red herring leading into what it actually was, which was the story later on in the week, which was that was his wish list. None of these teams are interested in him. So, Ron, where is he going to go?
The Cowboys.
No, you're still going to be reading that apology, Matt.
You forgot the quote where Mike McCarthy said that everyone was upset when Ezekiel Elliott had to leave, and the door is always open.
Oh, yes, for the veteran minimum, which I'm sure Zeke is not going to take.
He's going to have to. He's not going to get anything better anywhere else.
Someone will give him $1 million. and then
We'll
you'll be
find out.
reading a nice little apology for me.
I'll be writing a nice little apology for you.
Bullshit. All right, I'm going to put you out of your frame of reference here for the Cowboys. What other teams could use him?
I think a lot of teams. I think the Ravens, he'd be a good 1-2 punch with J.K. Dobbins.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons. I mean, they've got that. God, I can't even think of his name right now. The rookie last year. What the hell was his name?
Go ahead. You talked about this player.
Tyler Algier.
There you go.
I knew it would come to me.
Yeah, athletic. I was going to be like, I hope you would know this player's name.
Yeah. He'd be good there. The Rams could use another guy. Cam Akers, very iffy. He's definitely going to be a good depth piece. He's still really good around the goal line. So, if he gets a goal line thing, you could see him finish with 10 plus touchdowns still. There's a lot of teams I think that could use him.
Okay. Speaking of the Rams, there's a player that they really don't want and nobody else seems to want too. That would be Allen Robinson. They said they're still flirting with trading him. Do you think he actually gets traded at any point, or are they just going to be forced to eat the contract to let him play on that team?
I think he could be traded if a team starts getting injuries and really needs someone with some sort of upside.
So you're feeling into the season.
Yeah. Either training camp. I don't think anything will happen until at least training camp start.
Okay.
And you start getting those, every year it happens. Oh, this guy tore his ACL in training camp. You know what I mean? It happens, unfortunately.
For fantasy, is his value dead though?
I would have to say yes, but it's one of those guys where if he goes somewhere, let's say he goes to the Chiefs and they don't bring anyone else in of note, you're not going to take a flyer on him at the end of the draft?
No, I won't.
If he goes to the Chiefs, I'd have to. As long as it's, 10th round or after, I would definitely take a flyer on a wide receiver that has talent, just don't know, let's say, let me rephrase, had talent, just not sure if it's still there. So it's hard because 2 years ago when he was with the Bears, he very clearly just gave up on that team. And then last year, the entire Rams offense after week 4 or 5 was a complete dumpster fire.
Allen Robinson is on-field retired, and that's the way he's going to stay.
That's a very good possibility.
All right, there's been some rumblings about Trey Sermon coming out of the owners' meeting this week. This was kind of interesting. The Eagles were talking him up, and that's with Rashad Penny being signed to the team. Do you see Trey Sermon potentially having a prominent role in that backfield?
It could. I mean, A lot of people were hyped about him when he was drafted to the 49ers. Ended up being Elijah Mitchell that year instead.
Yes.
I still think it's Kenny Gainwell out of that Eagles backfield, and
Yeah,
maybe Bijan Robinson.
He's immensely talented.
And maybe Bijan Robinson. Like, they've got 2 first-round picks. They could there's talks about them banning that their little QB sneak that the Eagles use. So maybe they bring in that big bruiser to get those 4th and 1s.
No way that gets banned. It's too good for them.
Yeah, but it's good for the Eagles, but it's a trap. It's a cheap play, really. There's zero way to stop it. So
it's not going to get banned. At least not
it takes away from the competitiveness of the game. Like
it did for Tom Brady. It was about 99% effective.
Yeah.
All right. So this was kind of interesting to me because I was getting very high on Trey Lance, but some comments coming out of the front office for the 49ers said that if Brock Purdy was healthy right now, mind you, he's not going to be ready for week 1 most likely. He would be the one to get the first snaps for the 49ers this upcoming season. So I wanted to talk about this quarterback room for the 49ers. They brought in Sam Darnold. Trey Lance is the person they spent 3 first-round picks on. And Brock Purdy's going to be coming in there probably in the middle of the season. So I wanted to get your feelings on who's going to start the season, how this room is going to shake out, and who's got the fantasy value, Ron. This seems to be a pretty muddied situation right now.
Yeah, I think pretty much it's going to be Purdy as soon as he's healthy and 100%. Unless Trey Lance comes in at the beginning of the year and just completely wows the organization, Brock Purdy has earned that job. When it comes to Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, it's quick to be able to hate on Sam Darnold, but with his tenure with the Jets and then with the Panthers, didn't look too good. Except with the first 5 weeks, I don't think it was this past year, but the year before, Sam Darnold was 5-0 when he had Christian McCaffrey. And then McCaffrey got injured. And that's when everything started to go downhill.
And towards the end of last year, he looked all right.
Yeah, so I don't want to count him completely out yet, but Trey Lance was taken with the 2nd or 3rd overall pick. He would cost him 3 first-rounders, really, to get him. So if he can't beat out Sam Darnold, then he's done.
This is really interesting because you're hearing reports out of the 49ers that Sam Darnold may actually end up getting the first reps for that team in week 1. And I kind of get the feeling, and I hope for fantasy sake, especially for a Trey Lance lover like me, that this is just a fire to get under Trey Lance's ass to get him going for the upcoming season, to get him into competition mode. But there's also rumors about him potentially being a trade target in training camp for teams that look to acquire a quarterback this upcoming season, so the 49ers could acquire some of that capital back. So it's really interesting to see what they're going to do with Trey Lance because they invested in him so heavily, but we haven't seen what he can do yet because, 1, they sat him for a year, and 2, he was hurt last year. So he seems like a real mystery right now. Some people love him. Some just don't know what he's going to do. I don't think anyone's really shitting on him yet. We just don't really know what he can do yet. And
there's people that are shitting on him, but unjustly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And this comes into a very quarterback-friendly system where we saw Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy come into this offense and was very effective. Sam Darnold was good towards the end of last year and may be able to play very well in this very quarterback-friendly offense.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget Sam Darnold was, number 3 pick in his draft?
Yep.
So let me ask you this. You are the Trey Lance owner in our Dynasty League. What's the trade have to look like for you to accept it? To trade away Trey Lance?
Right now?
Yep. Does it still have to be a first rounder or?
Probably a late first round pick.
At least a late first rounder?
I think so. I still believe in him.
What if it was like a package of 2 seconds or something like that?
If they were right, maybe. But here's the thing. It's also dependent on the kind of team where I've got a super flex league. I'm a little bit thin at the QB2 currently for our draft. Probably still looking to get one in our Dynasty draft, player pending and what's there. There's still some good skill players at the top. Plus, I
Yeah,
also
you just
got
traded.
Sam
You just
and I
traded
got
out of the 102.
I did. So that's an interesting conversation too. Into a number 5 spot, I think 2 skill players are going to be picked at the top, so I can still get a quarterback potentially. Plus, I've got Sam Darnold as his backup, so I'll at least have that QB2 early in the season. So that's something to consider too. So at least I've got that stable quarterbacks in our dynasty league, which could be important. But
Yeah.
I think if he plays, just because of the running ability, I still see Trey Lance as a low-end QB1 just because of the offense he plays in. But Sam Darnold could have QB2 numbers in that offense too. So do I want to trade him? Not necessarily, but if an owner did, I wouldn't blame them right now. In Dynasty, I think he's still got a lot of value. If he gets traded, he's going to be starting on another team.
Yeah. I'd be shocked. I'd almost be shocked if they, well, I don't know, because of the quarterback issues they had last year, they might be a team that goes in with 3 quarterbacks on the roster.
I'm almost guaranteeing they do. I think you'll see Purdy start on at least the 4-week IR, if not be out for half the season, just with the injury he had. It's a pretty prominent injury. They're saying he may be ready for the season, but I wouldn't be shocked if he sat out if one of these guys are playing good enough.
Yeah.
DJ Chark signed with the Panthers, so this is kind of interesting how their wide receiving core is working out now that they've traded DJ Moore. People are wondering who this number 1 pick was going to be throwing to at all, and now they've signed 2 wide receivers. DJ Chark is the second one. So what's your thoughts on DJ Chark signing with nothing but cat teams? And 2, is he going to have any fantasy relevance for the Panthers?
I think he could have some fantasy upside. Obviously, a rookie QB is going to be throwing him the ball, which means he's not going to have elite fantasy upside. Not at least this year.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a burner. He can get down the field. If he could stay healthy, he could probably finish the year as a wide receiver 3 with maybe low-end wide receiver 2 upside. But he's going to disappear. Like, there's going to be games where he disappears.
What is his obsession with playing for teams with a feline variety?
I think he just likes to play football, and he's just going to go to people who let him play football.
So
I think the cat thing is just a
trend.
coincidence.
You don't think he's got 10 cats at home?
I hope not. That's weird.
Yeah, coincidence. I mean, there's people I'm sure that play for a lot of bird teams. There's a lot of bird teams in the NFL too.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Dirty Birds, Falcons expect Desmond Ridder to take the next step in his career, allegedly. So my question to you is, week 1, will Desmond Ridder be the starting quarterback for the Falcons? Is there going to be any competition behind him, or is this a smokescreen for them to potentially take one in the first round or go with the Lamar Jackson route?
Well, they pick at number 8, so they're definitely not going to get one in the draft. I think there's too many teams in front of them that will take one.
You don't think they could take the kid from Kentucky, maybe?
Will Levis?
Yes.
No, because I think if he falls even to number 7 to the Raiders, I think the Raiders take him.
No chance for a trade-up.
I mean, maybe, but I just don't think they will. It sounds like they're ready to roll with Desmond Ridder. And the last 2 games of last year, Desmond Ridder actually looked okay. I have, the Falcons at number 8. It'd be a little bit surprising, but they could take Bijan. I mean, Arthur really likes to run the ball there, so
it's
possible.
High. It's a
little high, but they might be thinking, then they could have Bijan, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts on that offense. And if everything falls apart this year, they can get their quarterback next year when they have a higher pick. So,
Brian.
Oh, that's my best bro. Thanks, man.
Threw us a sub and is joining the Heckling Fandom. Dude, if you have any questions about Dynasty Fantasy Football or any kind of fantasy football. He's coming in to look at these faces, that's all. Feel free to throw them down in the comments and we'll get to them on the show. We are also going to be doing a Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. Maybe that'll help you with your team too tonight.
Oh, our Sabotage Mock Draft. 3 weeks away, guys.
Coming
Sabotage
up in a few
Mock
weeks.
Draft. It's going to be fucking great.
If you've never seen one of ours, go back to our previous 2 years and give it a look. It's a format that you've never seen before. Well, that's not true. The fantasy footballers picked up on something similar late last year, but we had been doing it the 2 previous years.
We are the headliners of that, though. I love the fantasy footballers, but they stole from us on that one.
That's okay. All right, let's get back to Desmond Ridder. So Ridder started to make Drake London look pretty good at the end of last year. So what is the ceiling for Drake London if Desmond Ridder ends up being the quarterback for them?
If he could take even a good step forward, I mean, the ceiling is definitely going to be a good wide receiver 2, and he'll give you wide receiver 1 weeks. Like, he's going to have boom games, but you got to remember with the Falcons, they want to run the ball. Like, that's what they want to do. Desmond Ridder is not, Lamar Jackson, Justin Field type mobility, but he can move, and they're going to design. I think that's why they kind of want to roll them. I believe they brought in Marcus Mariota.
No, they cut Marcus Mariota this year.
Oh, they brought in Taylor Heineke. They brought in Heineke as their backup.
Who's that?
There was a lot of those QB2s that started switching teams. It got me all confused.
Nothing's going to make any impact on any of these teams. They're just trading teams.
Right, yeah. So, yeah, I think Desmond Ridder has some potential. Definitely as a QB2. I mean, if you're in super flex, he's going to be a starter. You're going to want him on your team.
Okay, yeah, no. How do you feel about Kyle Pitts in that offense, though? Does he worry you?
Yep, sure does.
Worries me too, but I'm still riding the Kyle Pitts train. Typically, tight ends take a little bit of time to develop, so I'll just say
athleticism is there. The athleticism is there. He did get injured. He could have, something could have changed, and we never seen him with Desmond Ridder.
And Hockenson developed into a boss, so give him time.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't seen him with Desmond Ridder yet, so he could come out just on fire. And that's why I think if they're rolling with Desmond Ridder, I know they need other things, but people are saying Bijan is a generational talent, so I wouldn't put it out of the realm of possibilities.
Maybe they trade back and take him.
They could. Like, that's possible.
Maybe that's a thought for the Sabotage mock draft, Ron.
Maybe.
All right. Rams are not expecting any limitations for Matt Stafford in 2023. They are trading away all the pieces on that defense. Do you expect for him to have to chuck the ball this year, and do you have any faith that his back actually holds up?
I mean, wasn't he pretty much ready to play at the end of last year, and they just was like, no, just don't even worry about it? Or was that Cooper Kupp?
I believe no. He was debilitated by the end of the year.
Okay.
It might have been
Maybe it was Cooper Kupp then. But yeah.
No, I think they had a real worry about his injuries going into this offseason. It might have been back, neck area. There's some real worries about him potentially retiring, but he says he's not going.
He's a tough guy, so it's going to take quite a bit to keep him off the field. But
he's 35 too. He's not a spring chicken anymore.
His back has been a problem, but I think if Cooper Kupp wasn't injured last year, he probably would have played more with his injury. But they all kind of knew what was happening with that team last year after things started going south, and they just kind of gave up on it.
Yeah, it's amazing that a team just trades away all their draft picks. Now they're begging for them back right now.
Yeah. Please take our players.
Okay, what is the fantasy value of Stafford going into next year, considering I think the Rams are going to be playing from behind in a lot of games next year?
There'll be a low-end QB1 probably. I still trust in Sean McVay. He's still going to have Cooper Kupp, so I still think low-end QB1 probably.
Okay. This is kind of an interesting move that very much went under the radar. It kind of happened in the middle of the night. And as soon as I saw this move happen, I went and scooped him up in our Dynasty League because of the athletic ability of this tight end. Irv Smith got signed by the Bengals. So I wanted to get your thoughts on what he could potentially do in that offense. I understand there's a lot of mouths to feed, but do you feel like he's worth a flyer in a lot of leagues?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a starting tight end of a team that is, pass heavy, great quarterback, great other weapons. So, yeah, he's definitely worth a flyer. But he's going to give you very bad weeks. Like, you're going to get weeks where there's a 0. Because it's going to be a Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Marvin Jones. You know what I mean? So
you don't see any potential for him to potentially carve out an Evan Ingram kind of role?
Marvin Jones, that's not right, is it?
Evan Ingram?
No, the third wide receiver on the Bengals.
Did you just say Marvin Jones?
I did.
It's Tyler Boyd, dude.
Tyler Boyd. I had Marvin Jones because he just re-signed with the Lions.
You're mixing up all your players tonight.
I knew though. I'm like, that's not right. That's not the right name. Tyler Boyd. That's
an insult to Tyler Boyd.
It kind of is, yeah. Sorry, Mr. Boyd.
Anyway, is there any potential for an Evan Ingram kind of season from Irv Smith to the Bengals?
No, I don't think so.
I kind of think there is. That's why I kind of took the flyer on him. I really loved this move.
I mean, he's going to have good weeks because Hayden Hurst had good weeks.
It's true.
But do you think Irv Smith is any different than Hayden Hurst? No.
I think he's a little bit more athletic.
No, he's not. I mean,
he might
be,
but a little bit more injury riddled.
He's not. He may be a little bit more athletic, but not enough to change the. He may have 100 more yards than what Hayden Hurst had last year. I
think this is really a player that could sneak into the top 10 at the tight end position. Not that means
but that means
tight end position, but it means shit. But it's still worth the flyer if you need someone as a fill-in. I think in dynasty leagues, he's worth the pickup.
Oh yeah, I mean starting tight end, you definitely have to have him on your team.
Okay. All right, Odell is making his rounds at the owners' meetings, or at least was yesterday. He met with the Ravens, the Giants, the Jets. There's some mystery teams allegedly. What's your thoughts on Odell? Where's he going to go? What's the fantasy impact? Give us the layout on Odell.
I think Odell still is a talented player. Like, I think he's 30 or 31? 31. So he's not quite at that age yet. I mean, Hopkins is 31 or 32, and he's still playing at a high level. But I mean, he's already torn 2 ACLs, and
the last 2 years.
He doesn't have a lot of completely healthy seasons, but when he's on the field, he's electric still. I think he can come in and help a team.
I mean, he's had about a year and a half to recover, though. So I think he's on the healthier side of not probably aggravating that injury, and I think they're going to ease him in no matter what team signs him. So the only team I really see him not having any fantasy value on would be the Ravens. I think the Jets would get him the ball with Rodgers there. Very high-end wide receiver 3 potential, low wide receiver 2 potential there. I would not like him on the Ravens. And the Giants.
If Lamar Jackson goes back, I like.
That's the problem. We don't know if Lamar Jackson's going to be playing.
Well, Lamar Jackson just sent out a tweet. Lamar Jackson just sent out a tweet. I think it was today, where he said, it's not all about the money. I could have sat out last year and not played if it was really all about the money.
He's gone nuclear, dude. When your head coach goes in front of the media and you literally released your trade demand, which was given 3 weeks ago, the second he goes on TV to take him off guard, something's not right there. And the Ravens are doing the business the way the Ravens do business, which is skeptical when it comes to injured players, wanting to get rid of them early before they are not worth the value to them. Not saying Lamar Jackson isn't, but they know he's a running quarterback. That's why they're a little bit hesitant with him. And Lamar Jackson's a little butthurt right now. It's a situation to really watch, and teams to watch with him are potentially the Colts, the Falcons.
Yeah.
There's some flyers. Not saying that's the route we're going to go.
But what I'm saying is his tweet made it sound like even if he doesn't get traded and no one does, he's got the tender, so he could play on that this year. It sounded like it may be, but how many people come out and are like, I'm not playing on this? You know what I mean? Because you say I'm not playing. Well, you say I'm not playing on this, and that kind of amps it up. Like, all right, well, he's not going to play on the tender. We really need to either lock him in or trade him or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for him to kind of come out and say, like, I could have not played last year when they wouldn't give me a new contract, but I still played.
Circling back to Odell, though, what's the best fit here for him for fantasy football?
Out of those teams?
Or anyone where you think he could realistically sign?
I mean, out of those teams, I think the Giants probably have a good need. I think it would be a tie between the Giants and the Ravens because neither one of them have that wide receiver. Jets, yeah, he'd have Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball, but you also have Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard, like all these pieces. So I think out of those three teams, it's probably a tie with the Giants and the Ravens if Lamar is throwing them the ball.
All right, that's fair enough. And last little bit of news I have for tonight. This one kind of also went on the radar and was very interesting. The 49ers are fielding trade offers for Brandon Aiyuk. This is a team that's been a little bit strange with him where he's had really streaky spots with him where he's been excellent for fantasy football, just unstoppable, and then streaks where he's cold as ice. What's your thoughts about him on the 49ers roster going forward for fantasy football? Is he even going to be on their roster? What's the overall value of him going this upcoming season? He's an interesting piece.
Yeah, he is interesting because we've seen years where he wasn't involved at all. And then what was the last 2 years, he's actually been, or no, last year he was really good. The year before it was all Debo. So it's hard. I mean, I think it all depends on if he gets traded, it'd be landing spot dependent. Do I think he's a true number one wide receiver? Maybe he could be that, but he's not going to be top 5.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think they hang on to him, honestly. It wouldn't be pervy of them to move off another one of their talented players when they seem to be going for it. When they spent all that capital on Christian McCaffrey last year, they need all the weapons they could for these younger wide receivers. That it's a young wide receiving core, and they have younger quarterbacks that need all the weapons they can get. And it's going to be prominent in this kind of offense. So whether it be Purdy, Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, you want all the pieces in place to make a run because they were pretty damn good regardless of the quarterback last year. So I don't see them moving off an experienced quarterback, a wide receiver that knows the system.
Obviously, if someone comes and wows them with a trade package, then they're going to take it. That's probably why they put it out there.
I don't see that happening, though.
If someone comes with 2 firsts for Brandon Aiyuk, they're going to say yes.
Except nobody ever would.
Right. But they're going to put it out there just in case.
All right, you ready to get into this rookie dynasty draft?
Hell yeah.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it. I want winners.
All right, so we are on the Dynasty Rookie Draft. We are going to roll through, I think, 3 rounds tonight. How does that sound, Ron?
That's fine. I think that was the wrong mock draft one.
What's that?
Maybe not. I don't know, because it says NFL mock draft. I don't know. I just don't like the wording. I thought we had a different one.
There's probably another one, but that's the one I'm going with tonight. You can just take that out of your mind, not worry about it, Ron, because you didn't do the drop. None of your business anymore, okay? So because of that, I went first last time. You're going to pick the first person in this draft. I will manually fill it in, and we will see why we're taking them in these spots. And go ahead and explain what we're rolling off of this year, because obviously – actually, this edition of this mock draft, because obviously there hasn't been an NFL draft yet. So what are we using tonight?
So we are using a consensus mock draft over on NFLmockdraftdatabase.com. They pool all the drafts together, all the mock drafts that have been done, and they give it a consolidated mock draft where the most popular picks have been going. Also, it shows like popularity of that pick going there, so it's pretty cool. I would suggest go checking it out, but that's what we're using today. Kind of gives us a good gauge on where people are going to be going.
Yeah, this shit could get gross because I'm gonna have to look for these players too, depending on the spot. I tend to fall in love with the players. I think talent's gonna supersede necessarily landing spot in some of these positional players. Quarterback stuff are going to matter. So I went first last time, so we'll let you pick the first player I'm going to set on the sport. So who is that going to be in this rookie draft?
I mean, it's no joke. It's super flex, not super flex. I mean, in most cases...
We're doing the real fantasy dynasty league super flex.
I mean, in most cases, it's going to be Bijan out of Texas, Bijan Robinson. Like, most people are saying he's a generational talent. I have heard some people say, like, if you're in a straight rebuild, that maybe maybe you go quarterback here in a super flex, because if you're a few years away, it's kind of like you're wasting a pick. Rather have a quarterback that could be good for 15 years rather than a running back that are generally only good for 5 or 6. But, 5'10", 215, he did a 4.48 in the 40-yard dash. And just, I'm looking at his RAS score right now, and it's just, real good.
Fucking off the charts.
Yeah. 9.83, which I believe is tied for the best all time according to Relative Athletic Score, which is the RAS score. So, yeah, definitely Mr. Bijan Robinson with a 101.
Okay, this is a super flex league. I was really looking at Jahmyr Gibbs in this spot because of the landing spot. I'm sure you'll be taking him 3 at this spot, so I will skip over that repertoire and summary and let you get into that. I'm sure for pick 3. And I had a debate here between the 2 top quarterbacks in this draft compiler. And I'm going to go with CJ Stroud here to the Carolina Panthers. Listen, he's immensely accurate. If you're looking for a QB2, I think you can instantly take him here and at least get that kind of production, even in the Panthers offense with that rookie. I think he's got a nice floor up for this upcoming season. CJ Stroud performed very well out of Ohio State, kind of took some flack late in the season because of some rises at the other quarterback positions. But I really like him going to the Panthers, and I think this may actually be the spot he ends up going to. So with the draft compiler and for Dynasty football, I think I'm going to take CJ Stroud in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's smart. I forgot to mention that Bijan in this mock draft went to the Eagles, which is a great landing spot. At 10, he went there. But yeah, CJ Stroud kind of edges out Bryce Young just because of Bryce Young being like 188 pounds or whatever he is.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous. But you can't fault CJ Stroud. He showed out at the combine, very productive in college, definitely deserving of being the 101 in the real draft this year. And I think he will be.
Breathing fantasy football, literally, EJ checks in and says, "Hey guys, what's going on, EJ?" All right, so Ron,
what's up, EJ? How's it going?
You've got the 3rd pick in this rookie dynasty draft. So who are you picking for JJ LaPlante?
I'm going to go with straight upside here. Anthony Richardson, QB out of Florida.
Oh, okay.
Just destroyed, with this being super flex, just destroyed the combine. Graded out a perfect 10 out of 10 on the RAS score. Crushed every single drill he did. Is he perfect? No, he's not.
Absolutely
he's got the
not,
highest.
He's got talent.
He's got the highest fantasy upside of any quarterback in this draft. He's got a great long ball. Not always most accurate, but he can get the ball down the field. And when I was watching his tape, when he was protected, he was insanely accurate. He's one of those guys, he's got to learn that, when he's taking pressure, he's got to, work on his mechanics more while taking pressure. But I watched his tape, and every time he had a nice clean pocket, or even if he was throwing on the run, and long as no one was near him, just the accuracy was great. So he's got to learn how to translate that into, being able to work with pressure in his face a little bit more. But if he can get that down, he's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. EJ from Breathing Fantasy Football Live says, I've been feeling some Izzy Abba Akanaban hype with the film I've been watching so far. Great size and speed. So actually, I have been watching some of this film. We actually talked about him on your podcast. EJ, I'm glad you're looking into him, and probably a player you can get in the 3rd round. And if you want to call your shot on him, you potentially could sneak in the later half of the 2nd round, depending on his draft capital. But he's sneaky. Good player. Good to butcher names some more, too.
I've been hearing more about him. I really want to I got to watch more of his tape.
All right, you've left me more choice. Just because of the draft capital, and I understand this is a super flex league, I'm going to have to take Jahmyr Gibbs in this spot at number 4 for the simple reason that in the draft compiler, he ended up going to the Miami Dolphins. And this happens all the freaking time. Every single year, people try to give the Miami Dolphins a running back at a high position. Never seems to happen. But for some reason, this is the year, and they picked Jahmyr Gibbs, who is immensely more talented than a lot of players that have been drafted to them in the running back positions in a lot of mocks over the past years. You have to take him, and you have to consider him over some of these quarterbacks, even if, dare I say, that quarterback is Bryce Young still on the board.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, with the landing spot to the Dolphins, I could definitely see him going even at number 2, even in a super flex. If you're a team that is all right with quarterbacks and maybe you just had a bad year or you traded away and somehow got the 102 and you need running backs, I wouldn't fault you at all for taking Jahmyr Gibbs at the 102 if he lands on the Dolphins. Yes, they brought back everybody they had at running back last year, but everyone they had at running back last year was a bunch of nothing. And Jahmyr Gibbs' upside is just phenomenal.
EJ's raising the point of the Alvin Kamara comparison. Gibbs is the next Kamara, question mark, from what I've heard. Great fit for the Bengals, maybe. That would be a phenomenal fit for the Bengals.
I would like him on the Bengals, but, you know, if Joe Mixon is still there, that's going to, for fantasy, it's not the best landing spot for right away, but definitely would be good. Yeah, definitely be good down the road. If Joe Mixon is on the Bengals this year, he won't be next year. Like, I'm still not 100% sure he'll be on the team this year. So that could be a great landing spot.
Okay, so I'll let you take the steal and the super flex here at the fit spot. Who is that going to be, Ron?
Yeah, it's got to be Bryce Young here.
Bryce
Young, whatever. Number 2 off the board to the Houston Texans. They brought in some weapons. They're going to try. They got a new coach and everything. Yes, I mean, his size does worry me a little bit, but he's really good at not taking hits. So that might help him out. But at pick 5 in a super flex with which some regard as the best QB in this class still on the board, you got to take him there.
I may throw a little bit of a surprise here just because of the fit. So I'm going to take a wide receiver here at the 6th spot. And it's just because of the landing spot that I love it. I think I'm going to say Zay Flowers here at the 6th spot. He in the draft compiler went to the Minnesota Vikings, and they really could use a wide receiver too. So I could see him going to a team that was picking in this spot in a 10-person league that's kind of meandering somewhere in the middle and being a difference maker right away. Maybe with the upside of a wide receiver too. I really like Zay Flowers if he ended up on the Minnesota Vikings. On a lot of other teams, I would draft him probably in the 2nd round, but I absolutely love this fit. I can't believe I'm actually taking him over some other wide receivers at the top here, but I think that's just an absolutely incredible fit for him.
Yeah, no, I really like Zay Flowers, and I really like the fit with the Minnesota Vikings. I'm pretty sure, there's very few other teams where I think a wide receiver landing spot is better than the Minnesota Vikings right now. They have a very clear need for a number 2 wide receiver. Don't give me that KJ Osborne crap. He's a number 3 wide receiver. He's a damn good number 3 wide receiver, but he couldn't edge out the aging Adam Thielen last year,
who is now a Panther.
So I think if they draft a wide receiver, especially in the 1st round, it's going to be good. It's going to be good for that receiver, and it's going to be good for Justin Jefferson. So I absolutely love this pick. I think 1.6 is a little high.
I love the pick.
But he's not falling to 2nd round. So if you have the 106 and you're high on your man, you go get him. You know
he's
what I mean?
A little undersized for a rookie. I'd like to see him beef up a little bit. He did for the combine. It's a nice fit. I starting to get a little bit of a crush on Zay Flowers. Not going to lie. I've been taking a lot of my mocks that I've been compiling. So we'll see where he ends up going. So, Ron, you have the next pick, number 7.
Number 7. I'm not gonna pull the fourth QB yet. I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'd rather have. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that Lamar Jackson is playing for the Ravens this year.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take Quentin Johnson out of TCU. He is big, fast, just a very good athlete. Pretty sure, let me check his RAS score. I'm pretty sure his RAS score was also very good. Sometimes he suffers from drops, but I guess it was a little bit lower than I thought it was, but I don't think he did everything at the combine, if I remember correctly. But the man is big and fast. People have comparing him to like AJ Green with slightly worse hands. He needs to improve his catching, but it's one of those situations where if he's wide open, for some reason he can't catch the ball. So I like the landing spot. Like I said, assuming Lamar Jackson is playing, and this is where Quentin Johnson goes, I would like that landing spot very much.
All right, I'm going to move very quickly here. I would run this pick to the commissioner, and I would take Jackson Smith and Jigba in a heartbeat at number 8 because him going to the Texans, he instantly becomes the number 1 there. Bryce Young is a quarterback that's athletic, going to create some timing issues because of a bad offensive line, but I think they could create some nice chemistry by the middle of the season. He would be their number 1 eventually. Listen, these Ohio State wide receivers seem to develop very well in college, come out pro ready. He's a very strange wide receiver because he's kind of got his own style, gets good separation, not necessarily fast, but he's a great route runner and is just unique in how he plays. Even outperformed Garrett Wilson when he was at Ohio State. So I really like Jackson Smith
and Chris Olave.
Yeah, no kidding. So I would honestly, like I said, run to the podium to take him here at the 8th spot. And I think he could be a steal if you get him in that potential landing spot.
I was just thinking, what would be the worst thing for me if Zay Flowers went to the Vikings? Because he would completely be off my draft board at that point. Because I have Justin Jefferson.
You can stack 2 wide receivers. It's Dynasty.
No, I couldn't. I wouldn't be able to. Not when I need other, pieces. All right, so we are on what? Pick 9?
Yes, sir.
All right, he's fallen far enough. Will Levis. The reason I think probably he fell so far in this mock draft is because he went to the Raiders in this mock draft, so he's probably not going to be starting right away. He'll most likely he's going to sit for at least, I would say, this whole year. They just brought Jimmy G in, so he's got an arm. He's got a cannon on him. He's a big guy, not super mobile, but mobile enough. He's had comps to like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen with slightly less mobility. So could be something good, but I don't think your return on investment is going to be this year. I think it's going to have to be a couple years out. But has the tools, has the physical tools to do it.
Well, there's a few comments here from EJ, so we'll get to those real quick, and then I'll get into my next pick. I'm really just stalling. EJ says, so when are you sending us the first for AARP? Just to let you know, there is confirmed reports out there saying that the Packers have backed up that first-round pick, so it's not going to happen, EJ. What if the Bucs draft Levis? He, I believe, is going to sit. I believe Baker Mayfield would have that job for a year or two, and they would want to groom him. Will Levis has good traits, but I don't think he would start right away. Ron,
I
seems to have a different
disagree.
opinion, so go ahead.
Yeah, I disagree. Baker may start the year, but I think within the first year, Will Levis will end up coming in. And if he goes to the Bucs, I think I would probably draft him higher, just because they have great weapons there. Godwin, Evans. He would have all the tools around him to succeed. So, I mean, I'd probably take him. I would end up taking him 106 in this draft right here with Gibbs and, being taken at 4. I would have taken him at 6 if he went to the Bucs. I think there's a few situations where I think I might take him earlier.
Okay. So my next pick of this draft, and I like the landing spot here, kind of jumping around, but I am going to pick, because of the landing spot here, Jalen Hyatt, who is a very talented wide receiver, has some nice speed, nice body control. He goes to the Arizona Cardinals, who are looking for a number 2 receiver. I believe they're going to trade DeAndre Hopkins, and he's got a quarterback who's, I would say, got some questions going into the offseason, but is very talented, looking to potentially have a bounce-back season. Cardinals is a nice fit there. I think he could develop some repertoire with that Pro Bowl quarterback. I like the fit here. What's your thoughts on Jalen Hyatt to the Cardinals, Ron?
I like it as an initial landing spot. Kyler Murray's probably going to miss a couple games at least. We got to see if DeAndre Hopkins not there anymore, if he's still going to be there. They still got Hollywood Brown. So I feel like if Hollywood Brown and Hopkins are still there, I don't like it as much. But long-term, I think it is a good spot. So I don't hate the pick at the what are we at, the 110, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I don't hate that at the 110.
All right, so who are you going for at the 2-1?
At the 2-1, I will be taking. Oh, where the hell did he go?
If you're going for who I think you're going to go, it's a very gross landing spot. Give it to me. I know you want to do it.
I'm just looking at this, and it's funny. It has the Green Bay Packers taking 2 tight ends.
Could happen.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna take Michael Mayer, tight end. He went to the Green Bay with the number 15 pick.
Yep.
So that's hell of a draft capital. Jordan Love is going to need a nice safety blanket. I don't think it'll be a great year 1 for him, but he is immensely talented, and I think Green Bay is a pretty good spot for him to land. They definitely have a need. They lost their guy, so I think it's a decent spot.
It really gives you the Hockenson kind of feelings. That's what Mayer kind of projects to be.
Yeah.
All right. We got a few players now here. We're in the second round. Love their talent. Hate some landing spots. So I got to really puke on these players, but I still got to pick them. Man, I do not like Jordan Addison's landing spot in this draft. They got to go to the Seattle Seahawks. There's already some wide receivers there with Geno at quarterback, so he's not going to throw 3 wide receivers, so that would be a little bit more of a long-term look. Zach Charbonnet goes to the Bills. I wish he would rather go to somewhere like the Atlanta Falcons, where I think he could get a lot of work. Not going to happen. So I'm going to say that Devin Achane goes to a better team than both of these guys.
Yeah, he's not on there.
He is not on there. And I'm going to predict that he ends up going to a team like, we'll say Cincinnati to back up Mixon. So I'll throw him at Cincinnati. Devin Achane's got some monster speed. He's a boss. A little bit undersized, but he's a good runner. Hate Zach Charbonnet's landing spot in this draft. Like him better than Devin Achane, but because Achane's got no draft capital in this, I'm assuming he's going to a better team. I've got them kind of 2B, 2C.
I hate you. Actually, do I have the 202 in our draft? I don't know. But all I know is I love Devon A-Chain. I really want the Giants to draft him. I think we can get him in the 3rd round. I think he will help our special teams, our kick return and punt return immensely, and then be that speed back to come in after Saquon Barkley is done making people look silly all over the place to just hit that home run touchdown. And then maybe take over as our lead back next year. Like you said, he's a smaller guy, but he runs well through the tackles. He's got really good contact balance for being such a smaller guy. He could put on some muscle. He'd lose a little bit of speed, but not a lot. And he's got speed to spare. So I think he's a really good player. And I think he's going to drop in the draft because of his size. Like I said, I would love it if the Giants got him in the 3rd round.
Okay. Now we are on to your pick, Ron. Who do you want?
Okay. I can't let Jordan Addison fall any farther than this. He's
Yes, you
crazy. He's crazy talented. I'm with you. I don't necessarily like the landing spot, but
I hate it.
Tyler Lockett, is getting a little bit older. So Jordan Addison can come in. He's definitely going to be the slot guy in year 1. But, I mean, and especially if, this is me in my pick, then I have Geno Smith on my team, so it gives me that.
That could be the scenario there. All right. If we're going off players that we hate the landing spot, but you got to pick one. Getting someone like Zach Charbonnet in the 2nd round is absolutely phenomenal, especially when we're talking about the 14th pick now in dynasty leagues where typically the running back is probably the last position you want to fill after your quarterback, wide receiver, and tight end position. Not the easiest position to fill, but this is the guy you can throw a dart on. Came out of a 2 backfield, immensely talented. Love how he runs the ball. Hate the fit with the Buffalo Bills. They already have some running backs there. They already have a QB that is a running back in himself. Zach Charbonnet is going to a high-powered offense, so maybe he's the running back that finally breaks the mold there with the Bills. Got to take the chance on him here at pick 14.
Yeah, good talent. I same as you. I don't necessarily love the landing spot, but
I hate it.
Devin Singletary hasn't been able to stay healthy. James Cook is undersized. They could bring in Charbonnet, and Damian Harris might not be, the guy. It might end up being Zach Charbonnet. So it's not the best landing spot, but it's an okay one. At least it's a high-powered offense. Chances of getting touchdowns,
This is also true. So now we are on to your pick.
All right, right here. This guy is projected to be picked the last pick of the 2nd round to the Kansas City Chiefs. His name is Rashee Rice. 6 foot, 204 pounds. Great vertical jump, 41 inches. Great broad jump. His 3-cone and his shuttle weren't the greatest. But his 40-yard dash, he had a 4.51. But his 10-yard split and 20-yard split were right up there, high graded. Out of 10, it was 9.74 for the 10-yard split and 9.39 out of 10 for the 20-yard split. So he's got great burst. Just not super top end speed, but 4.51 isn't bad. I hate when people start talking about people and they're like, oh, they didn't run a 4.4. And it's like, yeah, only super, super fast people run 4.4. 4.5 is still great. He's 6 foot, 204 pounds, and he went to one of the best spots for a wide receiver to go right now.
All right, let's break it back into these comments here really quick. EJ's got a few of them for us over here. He says, I could see the Packers drafting Darnell Washington. They drafted 2 of his teammates over the past 2 years. Yes, I could see that too, dude, but I don't see them drafting 2 tight ends, but they compiled it this way, so we'll see if that's what happens. It also says Charbonnet has been my complete rookie running back fade so far. He's 3rd rookie running back off the board. I do not like his tape. Looks slow, not creative. I will say he definitely does not aim for the holes. He aims for players, but I like his physical style. So me and EJ disagree on that. And then his last comment here, it's a bold take to fade him, but it's a stance that I took. Well, I guess that's why we all have different opinions when it comes to drafting then. Hi, EJ. All
Yeah,
right.
AJ.
Yeah, no, you're now AJ. All right, player I'm going with in this next spot is a tight end who goes to the Los Angeles Chargers. That is Dalton Kincaid. Him and Mayers have been going back and forth between the 1 and 2. This is a high-powered offense. Kincaid is immensely talented too, just right behind Mayers, I believe, and goes to the absolute perfect spot here with the Chargers, who have been struggling to find their new Antonio Gates. They've had some very talented tight ends over the last few years, but Kincaid is talented, more talented than I would argue than any other tight ends currently. He may be the missing piece of that offense and could be a security blanket for their quarterback, Justin Herbert, who could be looking at an extension very shortly. So I really like Kincaid to develop in 2 to 3 years down the line, and is a good second-round pick here.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid. I've heard plenty of people say they like him over Michael Mayer. So to get him middle of the second round, it's a great flyer. Like you said, where do they have him going in this one?
The Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, that's a really good landing spot. So yeah, he could have even been taken where I took Michael Mayer with the Green Bay Packers. I mean, probably a better landing spot.
Potentially. Now you are on the 2-7.
2-7. It is super flex. He did not get drafted in the first 2 rounds in this, but I'm going to take Hendon Hooker. He's pretty regarded as the next
Jalen Hurts.
Well, just the number 5 quarterback in this draft.
Mike Tannenbaum had him going 5th overall. I thought that was a little nuts.
That's a little crazy. He didn't do much at the combine. He's coming back from ACL, but he should be ready to start training camp. So we'll see where he goes. But 6'4", 218 pounds. I mean, he's got the size. He's pretty mobile. So if he goes to a good landing spot, he might end up getting drafted before this spot in Superflex. But for right now, this is a pretty good spot for him. And if he goes somewhere that's, I don't know, maybe if the Falcons get him in the second round or third round and Desmond Ridder isn't the guy, he goes in the spot with some decent weapons, maybe he can do something.
Give me some Josh Downs to the Los Angeles Rams. Here is a team after Cooper Kupp who is looking for a number 2. They have lost the faith in Allen Robinson. Stafford, if he comes back healthy, can throw the ball to him potentially. Like I said, I think they will be down in a lot of games. They traded away a lot of their defensive talent. They're moving pieces around. Josh Downs is a young, talented piece in a team that is able to attribute talent out of young receivers. I really like Josh Downs in this spot. Late second round. There's no reason why you couldn't take a flyer on him. Listen, Josh Downs out of North Carolina was thought of before the last 2 years as potentially a top target at the wide receiver position in the 2023 draft. Some shit happened. Stock dropped. Love the dart throw here.
Yeah.
Immensely talented receiver. Good fit with the Rams. So getting him the slate, I think, is a great fit.
Yeah, and I mean, they've already kind of made it known they don't want to roll with Allen Robinson, so he should come right in, at least within the first probably the first month, take over that role from Allen Robinson, and hopefully Matthew Stafford doesn't just only have eyes for Cooper Kupp again. Maybe he can get him the ball.
Where would you like to go next, Ron Seymour?
I'm going to take Luke Musgraves, tight end out of Oregon State. He landed with the Detroit Lions in the second round in this mock draft. Again, just another really good tight end. Probably going to take a couple years, but I'm hoping the thought in this would be within the next couple of years, they are going to have a different QB, and maybe that QB will target tight end a little bit more than Jared Goff has.
Yeah, no, I really like that landing spot for him. The Lions really do take advantage of the tight end position. So taking Musgrave, if he landed with the Lions, especially with that draft capital, is very, very interesting. All right. I'm going to take Zach Charbonnet's running mate here. A lot of people are high on him. I'm not nearly as high on him as a lot of other players, but people do like. Actually, no. You know what? I'm going to go with someone I like in this spot a little bit better here. I really like Keandre Miller out of TCU. He really is what helped elevate TCU to the college playoff championship game. I am a big fan of him. Great running back at this position. Was not taken in the draft based on this spot, so I really would have to assume as to where he could go. Why not the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. They could definitely take a running back. They definitely need one.
He kind of feels a little bit one-dimensional for me. They showed that he can get some passing work later on in his career, though, too. He's going to surprise some people with how good he plays, and I think he's going to go under the radar. So I really like Keandre Miller at the 210. Could be a steal.
Yeah, I'm all right, so at 3-1, I'm going to take a flyer on Tyjae Spears. A lot of people have really been talking this guy up. He didn't have the best combine, but his explosion grade is elite, and his speed grade was great. Unfortunately, his agility grading, the 3-cone and the shuttle, ended up grading really poor on those in the res. And then, 5'9", 201 pounds. It's all right, a little smaller. You'd like to see these guys a little bit closer to the 210, 215 mark. But if he lands in a good spot where maybe he has a backup role behind someone that, maybe isn't super healthy all the time, he could be good. He's got speed, so maybe he can get the rest of it worked out.
All right, it's time for Zach Evans. The fall has gone on long enough. He's very talented. A lot of analysts are very high on Zach Evans, have him rated nearly as – I've seen some analysts have him rated as high as 2 in the running back position. I do not believe in him that much, but in the third round at 302, I've got no problem taking Zach Evans and maybe potentially seeing him go to a team like the Cardinals who could use someone down the line. I think Zach Evans could be a good fit for that kind of team. And in the 3-2, maybe by the end of the year, you could have a running back too.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Israel Abanikanda. Abanikanda. We talked about him a little bit earlier because of EJ. This man is 5'10", 216 pounds, so he's got that size that you want. He didn't do the 3-cone or anything like that, but graded very well on the vertical jump, the broad jump, did very good. He ran a 4.39 in the 40-yard dash, so he's got speed and size. If he lands at a good spot where he might get a chance down the road, he could end up being something big. I'm wondering, I think I would like to see him maybe go to the Titans, back up Derrick Henry, or maybe the Chargers if they decide to move on from Austin Eckler. Yeah, I really like his, and like I said, I've been watching a little bit of his tape. I need to watch a little bit more because I wasn't as high as what you guys were saying, but oh man, this season has comps. Oh, this is cool.
Go ahead.
LaDainian Tomlinson, Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor. I think that's just where they finished for their RAS score. But it's saying something, I guess.
All right, so I'm going to give one of my sleepers here. I didn't want to talk about this player because I was thinking about taking him potentially in the third round. And I think he's someone that's going to rise here. It's Tyler Scott. He was a player that was playing as the result of a shitty quarterback situation. He is a wide receiver that gets so much separation and gets on the field so well. What really aches him is the drops. If he had better quarterback play and someone that didn't throw it out of bounds all the time, he probably could have led the FBS in yards last year. That's how good Tyler Scott's film looks. It's the drops, though. It kind of reminds you of Denzel Mims in that kind of spot. But my God, the talent is really good. Played well for the Bearcats. This is straight on potential, and this is like a player I could see like the New England Patriots taking a shot on.
5'9", 177 pounds.
The boy is little.
That is small. 4.44 in the 40, though. Did very good in the vertical and broad jump, too. But
there's not many Antonio Browns. Maybe this is the guy.
Maybe. Damn, that is tiny.
Mm-hmm.
That is a small fella. I was too busy looking up that. I didn't even get my next player ready. Where are we at?
We are at 3-5, Ron.
3-5. All right, we're getting to the point where I've stopped really looking at people so far.
Not me. I've got a few more on here.
Oh, here's a guy that I know. Don't have a landing spot for this, but Marvin Mims, 5'11", 184. I've been hearing a lot of good things about him. I believe he crushed it at the combine. Let me see if I can find him real quick. Scored a 9.38 out of 10 on the RAS score. Again, another small guy, though. 5'10", 183. Ran a 4.38. Had elite explosion grade and speed grade. Wasn't too great at the 3-cone and didn't do the shuttle. Definitely going to have to go to, a good landing spot, but he's got the speed and the explosiveness that I like to see. A little bit small, but you got to take a chance.
Good night, EJ. Have a great night, man. All right, we are on to my 3-6 pick. All right, this is super flex, man. So you got to take some shot on some quarterbacks here. How do we not like us some Stetson Bennett? I understand he is the old man of this draft. But, man, did he look damn good at Georgia. I would love to see – here comes the homerism. I would love for the Jets with Aaron Rodgers to take Stetson Bennett and let him sit for a year or two. Potentially he could be a starter. And in the third round, why not take someone who looked really good in the national championship? Like, all he did was win games the last 2 years. Not great measurables necessarily. Pretty good accurate quarterback. Could be a good system fit. Give me Stetson Bennett at 36.
Man, you just want to go from a 31-year-old Aaron Rodgers into a few years, go to a 31-year-old Stetson Bennett.
You mean a 41 to a 31-year-old? What do you got for us?
All right. Yeah, I was just thinking I got to take some shots. Tanner McKee, QB out of Stanford. Didn't do any of the speed things. 6 foot, 231 pounds, 6'6" even.
I don't think he would do so good.
He's definitely raw, but he's got some good speed. He's definitely a project, but if he lands with a good enough team, I'm thinking of someone, a team that does really good about building up QBs. Maybe with Sean Payton in Denver behind Russell Wilson. This is definitely a longer-term pickup. Maybe he can turn into something, but with it being super flex, you got to take these shots.
Oh, man, this is criminal. How did Kayshon Boutte fall this far? All the way down to 3. It's because he had a terrible combine.
Terrible combine.
Terrible combine, but he is immensely talented. Listen, not much on him last year. Absolutely nothing on him last year. Boy, is he talented. He has some issues, but I believe those issues are going to be revealed to be the fact that he was a young father. Those are personal issues. Those are not going to affect him when he gets in the NFL, has to be a professional, has to take care of his family. I think this man is going to come to play. Kayshon Boutte is going to come to play from LSU. Insanely talented. The talent has never been the problem with him. He was thought as potentially a 3 or 4 wide receiver in this draft before all of this stuff kind of came out for him. Boutte in the 3rd round. Steal.
He scored a 5.32 out of 10 on the RAS score. He graded out poor and explosive. Only did a 29-inch vertical. And 4.5 in the 40-yard dash, which Not horrible, but not super fast. Didn't do great in the shuttle. Just bad scores. Bad scores in the combine. I hope he does a pro day and maybe shows maybe he was dealing with something in the combine and maybe gets better.
And with that, you are on to your last pick, Ron Seymour.
My last pick?
Yep.
I'd like to tell you I'm ready. Tanks Bigsby? He hasn't been picked yet?
He is not.
Tanks Bigsby it is.
Going with Tank. He's a good
You want to know why?
Because
you want to know why Tank? I'm going with? Because I like the name Tank. Yeah.
Boy,
and he's better.
How's that for breakdown?
He's better than the other Tank in this draft.
That's some sad shit right there. What can you tell us about Tank Bigsby? At least give us the breakdown. He's been highly evaluated by a lot of people. I've been seeing him taken in the second round some of these drafts. So
he actually had a really good combine. Scored a 8.27 out of 10 on the RAS score. 4.5 ran a little slow in the 40 at a 4.56, but his 10-yard split and his 20-yard split were actually fairly elite. I mean, 1.56, so he's got a lot of burst to him, but not a lot of top-end speed. Decent broad jump. He's 5'11", 210 pounds, so he's got that size you like to see. So, again, with all these running backs, it's going to be landing spot is going to be the key to all of this. We'll definitely do one of these after the real NFL draft, and we'll break down our real landing spots, much to the dismay of having to let our counterparts in our Dynasty League know where we're thinking.
All right, this next one I'm going to take is a name that I really like, and I've actually broken down a lot of his film, and I really like him. Kind of reminds me of Samaje Perine. It's Evan Hall out of Northwestern. He's a twitchy-ass back. Little small, but Evan Hall is a little bit of a boss. Like I said, kind of in that Samaje Perine role, so I don't know if he'll be...
What's his name?
Evan Hall.
Evan?
Evan.
Why is he not coming up? Did he not...
He's out of Northwestern.
Did he not test in the combine?
That's a possibility. I've been looking at his Northwestern film, though. Kind of got led off to him by the BDGE podcast, which is very high on him. And I started watching his shit, and I'm like, this kid's pretty good. I really like me some Evan Hall. And I've always got a boner for running backs in Dynasty. So,
yeah, boners.
With the last pick, yeah, running back boners.
Where did we go?
You got some things to say about Evan Hall? It looks like you were looking at
I don't really know much about Evan Hall.
Good. Don't draft him then.
I will. Maybe. Or I might just take him just to spite you. You know me.
Yeah, you'll take him right before I get into that spot.
All right. That was the end of the third round?
That was, and that will do it for our rookie draft for tonight.
Yes, that will do it for our rookie draft. All right. Yeah, thanks for listening. This was we like doing these rookie drafts so you could see where we lie. We did one 2 or 3 weeks ago, so you can go and see.
And you can see how it significantly changed. It just
it really did. So you can go and check that out. Make sure you go and you can check that right on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you go over there, leave us a review, and drop us some subscriptions over there.
Join the Heckling Fandom.
Join the Heckling Fandom. Go to www.garbagetimef.com. You can leave us voicemails and hate mails. There's a little icon in the bottom right-hand corner. Check us out on Twitch. We're on Twitter. What's our Twitter? _time FF. Is that Twitter?
Yes, sir.
Yep. You can catch me on Twitter at HSSI Fantasy. Joe's on Instagram. Our Instagram is at Garbage Time Fantasy Football. His Twitter is One Fake Honey Badger. You can come. Ask us any question. We'll answer.
Go watch all of our old clips. There's some Sabotage Mock Draft ones on there, too, if you want to see what that's
about.
We'll
be and don't forget, in about 3 weeks, so tentatively, now this is tentatively, we haven't actually had it pinned down yet, but I believe it's Wednesday the 19th and Thursday the 20th, the week before the draft. We are going to do our Sabotage NFL Mock Draft. It's, one of my favorite shows we do all year. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you come and check us out. Make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube and follow and hit the bell icon so you know exactly when we're going live to do that, because we do most things live. So we'd love to hear you talk shit to us as we are doing that.
Speaking of talking shit, there's going to be another Garbage Time Fantasy Football clip coming out this weekend. It's going to be a return of JJ's own clip in my little flavor of the formula. Don't stop the fucking hate, based on some Twitter comments that are coming out there for some Packers fans involving some of the Aaron Rodgers stuff. So it'll be a Jets fandom episode, but it'll be very funny, very short, but it's going to be funny. So look for that this weekend too. Look for the Sabotage Mock Draft coming up in a few weeks. We'll have some other stuff coming out for you another week or two from now too. This is the slow part of the season. We're leading up to the draft. We'll have some stuff for you though. So without further ado, guys, have a great night. Tune in, join in, like the Heckling Fandom, leave us some reviews, scream at us at www.garbagetimeff.com. Have a great night, guys.